We say that the power of the people is greater than the people in power, and I would like to show you an example of that from Spokane, Washington. So that was yesterday, June 11th in Spokane, Washington. A large anti-ICE protest has broken out. It started with a post on Facebook. According to Spokane's NBC affiliate, former city councilman Ben Stuckert made a social media post stating that 2 Venezuelans he had taken legal guardianship of had been detained by ICE. He announced that his plan was to go sit in front of the transport vehicle, and he asked if 20 people would join him, right? This is a rapid response request. The crowd quickly grew far beyond that. ICE agents tried to move these 2 Venezuelans out, and the crowd consistently blocked them at the front and the back of the building. The video footage you saw there was about 7 p.m., so protesters had been there peacefully for about 5 hours. There was also a planned separate ICE protest in Spokane yesterday at Riverfront Park, but because of this situation, the number of protesters that turned out for that protest grew significantly as well. I'm not really sure what happened at that protest. The reporting just says that law enforcement donned gas masks and prepared to disperse the crowd. So were they not allowed to legally protest there? Were they not peacefully assembled? I don't know if they were not permitted. I don't know the circumstances, but we do know that the Spokane police shot pepper balls into the crowd. Also, during this time, ICE managed to snatch several more men and shove them into a transport van, although it's unclear who those men are at this point in time. One of the things that's being discussed in a lot of grassroots pro-democracy organizations right now is what we can do to have an appropriate legal response when ICE shows up to terrorize and abduct our neighbors. How do we defend folks in our communities from the illegal actions of the American Gestapo? So if you don't have those networks set up, those connections set up where you can call people up, get them to show up and exercise their constitutional right to non-violently protest what's happening, maybe think about how you can form those connections right now. We need to all have ways to reach each other very quickly, to mobilize very quickly. Speaking of the American Gestapo, now I know there's a lot of speculation about how many of the dudes working for ICE now are Oath Keepers and Proud Boys. They're all cosplay militiamen who love their fatal live action role play, right? And they eagerly took the $40,000 bonus to join ICE. I mean, like, come on, y'all. Look at these boys. Look at these little chuddies right here. I've heard folks say that the guys who go work for ICE are the guys who couldn't get a job with the FBI. They couldn't make it in the Marines. They would have failed out of basic training. They don't have the physical or mental capabilities to work for the CIA or the FBI. They're kind of fail boys a little bit. That's who goes and works for ICE. Dudes like this right here. Butt crack Jack right here. This is the American Gestapo. I think it's perfectly well and good to make fun of these guys. It's also good to remember that right now they are empowered by Donald Trump to terrorize our communities. These are deeply insecure men who have been desperate to feel big and powerful their entire lives, and now Donald Trump is giving them a chance. And they're armed not only with weapons, but with the power of the corrupt DOJ, who is willing to weaponize prosecution against anybody who in any way engages with ICE. So these guys are embarrassing. They're super cringe. They're unskilled, untrained, but they're also really fucking dangerous. Precisely because of their fragility, but also because they are not qualified to be doing this job. They don't know how to de-escalate. All they know how to do is escalate. I said in another video that one of my mutuals, Possibility Maven, made a really good point. Who is it at a protest who has a vested interest in making sure that the situation is not de-escalated? It's the guys who are paid to be there, and that would be ICE. I mean, this regime has stated that they need to be rounding up 3,000 immigrants a day. They're basically putting a bounty out on folks because they've got to cram those for-profit prisons with more and more and more. Well, they're not prisons. They are basically concentration camps, detention centers with more and more migrants because the Geo Group and other private businesses, they are able to charge the American taxpayer millions and millions of dollars by keeping those migrants held in those detainment facilities. It's a big fucking grift, y'all. The more hardworking, decent folks they can snatch and stuff in their vans and ship off to these detention facilities run by private businesses like Geo Group, the more they can charge the American taxpayer. That's why they want to increase it to 3,000 a day. It's all for profit. It's about money. So ICE doesn't have justice or law and order as a priority at all. They are not trained to de-escalate. They're not even trained in what the law is, right? Their mission is really clear. Round up as many migrants as possible, terrorize communities all across the country, and also do what you can to escalate. Do what you can to incite a riot. Because what ICE is doing is also about feeding into Trump's agenda, right? It's about feeding his propaganda, painting the American people as violent rioters, right? They put out this statement that was like, oh, we've had this record number of assaults against ICE officers. Well, that's because ICE is going in to peaceful communities and starting shit. That's because ICE is going in and folks like Butt Crack Jack there are shoving peaceful protesters, snatching decent, hardworking folks. They are manufacturing a crisis. They are manufacturing everything that is happening. All of this is caused by ICE. It will be escalated by ICE. These guys have no interest in law enforcement. There is nothing that they are doing that is going to de-escalate anything. They don't know the law. They are not adequately trained. Yep, I'm sure a lot of them are Oath Keepers and Proud Boys. I'm sure some of them are desperate for a job, and the $40,000+ bonus that was supposedly offered to them was definitely an incentive to betray their community and betray the American people. But when you see the American Gestapo out and about, please understand that these are not highly trained, skilled law enforcement officers. These are not like Mission Impossible dudes, y'all. These are like, bumbling stormtroopers. They're dangerous ones because they are fragile, insecure men who, for the first time in their life, have access to power and deadly weapons. And the regime has basically given them carte blanche to do whatever they want. They have as good as told them that we won't hold you accountable. But remember, this regime will not last forever, and the day of accountability will come for these guys, right? We're filming everything that's happening. We're taking photos for that future investigation because there is no such thing as I was just following orders. That's not a valid defense. So on one hand, I guess what I'm saying here is that don't give these guys more skill and power than they have. Please remember that the people are 340 million. ICE employs less than 20,000. So these guys are not only not all powerful, they're not skilled, they're not intelligent, but please recognize that in many ways makes them dangerous because they will be unpredictable. They're likely to panic. They do not know how to respond in a situation. And we know that a chunk of them are white supremacists who enjoy inflicting pain and suffering. So those are all just things to take into account. But then also, ultimately, please remember the power of the people is greater than the people in power. 20,000 ICE agents, 800,000 civilian law enforcement, and a standing army of 2 million. Those numbers don't add up to hold the American people hostage. They're desperately trying to scare you. But if we overcome our fear, understand who our adversary is, understand who it is that is trying to intimidate us and scare us into submission, and we do the math, and then we all stand together in a massive solidarity movement, our wall of millions and millions and millions of people cannot be taken down by 20,000 butt crack jacks.